So how you doing, guys, and welcome. It is Kraken here and we're back with another video. But before we get into that video, remember that we do have the streamer weekend coming up 21st of June. I'm going to have early access footage on that, so make sure you've liked and subscribed to the channel and we'll bring you the earliest access of 1.0. Now sit back and relax and let's get cracking. Right, let's get to it then. The title and the thumbnail, as I'm sure you've all seen, is multiplayer dead in 1.0. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you go back and watch my video on the last two dev streams. And there's quite a few interesting little points in that video which we're going to address today. Have they killed off playing multiplayer when the new version of 7 Days to Die gets released? Let's get into it. So this was the first bit that really caught my attention. The first Blood Moon Horde. No longer are we going to have a shorter horde when our XP is really low and our game stage is really low. The Horde Night now is going to be a little bit harder and is going to last the whole night. So check out this first clip.
So basically the first horde is, we were playing and we're pretty good and experienced. I was like, well, okay, it's 10:30 and it's over. That was pretty lackluster. So the first, all the first Blood Moons are going to be a lot longer and probably a little harder than you guys are used to. So
there you have it from the main man himself, Joel Madmole from the Fun Pimps. The first few Blood Moon Hordes are going to be longer and harder. Now, that doesn't sound too bad. I think we're
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
So that doesn't sound too bad. I'm sure we're all more than capable of a longer horde night. We can do it later on in the game, so I'm sure we're going to be fine with a longer horde to get us going. So on one hand, this is actually really good for us because it does mean we're going to be able to gain more experience by killing more zombies than on a shorter horde night that only lasts an hour in game. On the other hand, they could come down and tear our base completely apart, and that brings me straight onto our second clip about the zombies being made harder.
We did some balance changes to up the HP pool of some of the more larger enemies too, because to keep up with the multiplayer game stage numbers, when you're playing co-op with your friend and you're leveling up a bit and the game was kind of getting like, well, we're breezing through it, we're really not top level yet, but we're not really being challenged as much, and we did some adjustments there to accommodate that. For those of you who want a little bit more of a challenge, we've done some work to improve that challenge to scale with your larger game stage and co-op teams.
So there you have it, Rick talking about the HP of certain zombies. So some of the more boss zombies, I imagine the cop, the Hawaiian, definitely I imagine the new demo zombie are going to have higher hit points than they had in the past. So that's Horde Night, but what about normal POIs?
I don't think POIs were... There was a bug we didn't know about too, about POIs not properly game staging in co-op. That was fixed too.
So once again, Rick talking about POIs. So there was this bug that means that when you were playing in co-op, the POIs weren't actually at the game stage that you had already required. So this is going to make some of the POIs a lot harder. So the progression of the game means that we'll have better gear to take on these POIs. Right?
we've also done a lot of balancing. So we had a 2-player multiplayer test, and we got to day 70, and we still were not end game. So it definitely, we've made some big improvements to trader rewards and looting and progression to where you're not going to jump up a whole tier and 6 colors in one upgrade. You're most likely you're gonna get a lot more upgrades from your first brown quality pipe weapon all the way to the top tier purple legendary. There's a lot more iterations now, so a lot of the progression isn't skipped, and it just feels so much better to play the game this way. Overall, it just plays really good. We've slowed it down. You're not going to You're not going to jump up a ton of tiers on any one item now. You'll
Okay then, that was back to Joel, and everything has been slowed down. But that's okay, we can just buy everything from the trader, can't we?
Is trader progression going to get slowed down? Yes.
Yes, we did that, and it's really good. And just that's like the sleeper feature of the game, in my opinion. It's like the game plays so much better now because you're not getting an OP reward that just skips 10 levels on the weapon that you had just in one quest. So there's a lot. It's a little more crafting heavy, I would say. There's still plenty of good stuff to find and loot, and you actually the economy's way better. So
Right, okay, getting a little bit more worrying now. The traders have been slowing right down, but we always make so much money in this game that we end up just smelting our dukes for brass. So we'll be fine, won't we?
we're almost always broke the whole way through because there's good stuff that you want to buy and spend your money on nonstop. So I really like the things that we've done to the progression. And we kind of cut the amount of dukes you get in half, and so part of it was the economy. You can buy what you really need, but you can't buy everything you want. That's for sure, you know. And it's just like, oh, there's so much stuff I want to buy, and but you don't have enough money, you know. So
Right. So according to Mad Mole, we're always going to be broke. So maybe we're not going to get as many dukes as before because they've just said they're halving the amount of dukes that we get from doing quests for the trader. But that's okay, isn't it? Because we always get really good rewards from the trader. Always get top level stuff.
So, you know, we've done a ton of work to progression, like Rick said. Some of the biggest thing that stuck out to me was how, you know, I got a trader reward one day, and it was like, okay, I just went from a brown pipe shotgun to like a purple pump shotgun, and I skipped 2 whole tiers, and I was like, we got to fix this. So we really took a big look at real close look at trader rewards, and we tuned those in. They're not as good now as what they were. So if you're expecting to get all this crazy rewards, no. And we kind of cut the amount of dukes you get in half, and so part of it was the economy.
Right, so let's just recap so far. We've got longer horde nights, stronger zombies, POIs actually reacting to your game stage in co-op, slow down progression from the traders, less dukes from the traders, but to be honest, we usually at the end game by day 20, so we should be fine. You know, few days of struggling at the beginning, then we'll be fine, won't we? Day 20, game over.
You know, because by day 20 we were almost in game, you know, and that's advanced players and stuff, but playing a couple guys playing multiplayer together, and this is way too fast. So in a couple of long games we've done, we two guys that know what they're doing kind of get fairly in game by about day 70 or 80 now versus day 20 to 30. So the game is longer, and we've really made an effort to get you a lot of micro updates along the way. So you're going to be doing a lot more crafting. There's still good loot out there, but you know, we do a lot of there's a lot of crafting, a lot of parts. We kind of reworked a lot of the weapons too.
Right. Okay then, day 20 is not going to be end game anymore. We're looking at day 70 to 80, and maybe just before that if you're a pro gamer. But that's okay. Day 20, forest biome, base all set up, abundance of loot like we always have, hundreds of boxes all set up, should be absolutely fine. We haven't really got to travel anywhere. By then we might have a few vehicles, but yeah, it should be fine. Nowhere to go. All the traders in the forest biome for you. Sorted.
It's not a good game when you're just totally abundant in stuff. So we reduced the amount of meds that you found. You know, like I was like, hey, look, I'm day 10 and I've got enough meds for 10 guys to last 2 months. You know, we're just swimming in so much stuff.
Always available with a painkiller or a
yeah,
antibiotic before. Yeah.
And now you're just like, it's just a little bit of a struggle. Everything's a little bit of a struggle. You can get what you need.
We touched the trader biomes order. So Rect is in the forest, Jen is in burnt, Bob is in the desert, he was in snow, and Joel's in the wasteland. And that's the opening trade routes. I think was what we called it historically.
Right, and they will always send you to the next biome now. So the progression is very predictable. Instead of, oh, I'm just got sent to Trader Rec number 2 in the same biome. It doesn't do that anymore. So it's always going to go, Rec will send you to Jen sends you to Bob sends you to Hugh, and Hugh sends you to Joel. So it's a very, a lot more predictable, and it lets us kind of run the game how it needs to be run. So that, right, like I got sent to the desert, and I was doing tier 3s in the desert, and I wasn't very high level yet. And it was like, I got my butt kicked, so I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do some tier 3s back in the forest and the burnt forest for a little while, and I'm gonna stay out of that other one because I just wasn't quite ready for it. So it kind of had to tuck my tail between my legs and go back. And I think I posted a screenshot, but I had all these crits, and I almost died, and I was like biking home in the middle of the night. I just said, I'm going, I'm not going to stay any longer because I'm going to die.
Right then, guys, there you have it. All of the little bits of information about co-op so far in 7 days and how it's going to be changing in the upcoming version of 1.0. Let me know with the comments down below what you actually think is going to happen. Do you think it's going to be harder? Do you think it's going to be easier? The issues I see with it are the players staying at home, the players that are staying, building the horde base, that are not going out and finding those bits of loot which are going to be harder to find. So whereas in the older versions, you could always bring back more stuff for the players that were staying at home doing the base building, and the fact that we're probably going to need multiple bases now because we are going to have to keep going to different biomes to meet the different traders. So that is going to be a big part of it. Also, you hear Joel talking about advanced players making it to day 20 and being towards the end game. A lot of people that I know that play co-op, and when I've done it for my subscriber live streams, is that we're not all pro players. I'm definitely not a pro player. You play with your missus, you play with your kids, you play with your brothers and sisters, whoever you're playing with, some of your mates. We're not all pro players. So that day 70 to 80 is very likely to be the way that it is going to be to get towards the end game. But I want to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Put them down there. At the moment, we're looking at the 21st of June to have the early access, the streamer weekend. Make sure you've liked and subscribed. You guys have a cracking day. Look after yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Take it easy.